Hi, this is Sandy, and I'm here for another video with my series Using Your Stash. And I'm doing labels today, and there's going to be several parts because I ended up binge watching a bunch of different videos again on making labels. And I know you can get labels as printouts. You can buy them off of Etsy or different ways like that. And I have done that. But then I was watching some videos where they made their own, and I thought that was perfect for using things out of my stash. And so the one I'm going to talk a lot about today is a video that I watched by Margaret at Seven Plaza, and I will put her information in the description box below. And so that's where I started, and she would make bases. And so she would make a larger piece that was 1.5 inches by 3 inches, and then round the corners. And there again, you don't have to do that, but she did that, and I like the looks of it, so that's what I've been doing. And then you have a second piece that's 1.25 by 2 3/4, so that when you get done, you end up with a base like that. So I'm going to glue those two together. So that's how she did it. She first went through and mass made a bunch of the bases, and then she came along after that to decorate her bases. So this is, it's really simple to make them, and you can do it in any color, any scraps you want. So I made some. This had an index page out of a songbook, and it was an old songbook, so it had the really nice paper, aged paper, I would say, in the background. And then I inked the sides of both of these, which you can do if you want to or not. Some of them I inked, some of them I didn't. So that was a base. I have not decorated it yet. This was one where I had some music paper, so I made it the portrait instead of the horizontal. This was another one where I took, that's the direction is, where I took a printed piece and used it for the base. And this was a piece of paper I had that had a bunch of butterflies on it, but it had the nice kind of muted background, so I used that for that. So then I took one that was similar to that, and I took a stamp I had, and I stamped free admission on this side, and then this is a vellum sticker that had books with a butterfly on it that I put on that side to decorate it. So I still have these to decorate. But then I was thinking, they're fairly large. They would work great in a junk journal, on a pocket, as a tuck, anything like that. But what if I'm wanting to use them on something and I don't necessarily want to have a piece this big? So then I kind of started a whole nother exploration, I guess you would say. So this was a printable that I had not used, that I'd printed out. And so I just cut it smaller. And then I just put a border around it that was smaller. And so I liked the size of that. I've not decorated that yet either. And so then I tried some others. So then I did some that were smaller. Now these I've not backed or put anything on. Well, it was double-sided paper, so you could really use either side. But here's one that I used, and then found a back that I thought went along with the colors of the, and there again, I'm just using scraps out of my stash. I'm going to glue this one too. I'm just using scraps out of my stash, which is great. I'm really kind of on a big kick to do that, because it's easy to just end up with so much stuff after I finish a project, not necessarily going further with the extra stuff, just putting it aside and starting another project. So I'm on a big kick to find ways to use my stash. So then I had recently purchased some washi tape that had a lot of different botanical type things on it. And so I thought, well, you know, some of that would really decorate some of these tags really cute, especially if you're going in a more vintage style. And so I decided I would try that. So I thought, well, the easy to cut them out to put them on top of something would be hard. But I could use the washi tape on a scrap piece of paper. So this was a white scrap I had that I just took one of the rolls and rolled it out. And then I came along and I decided where I wanted to cut them. And that was not straight. So I did use the paper trimmer when I was doing it before, which I probably should do because you can get it straighter. So then I also would cut along this edge so that you don't see where the washi tape meets the edge of the paper. And then I have a piece, but this was going a little differently than the way that Margaret did it in her video, because she always started with the bases and then she would decorate the bases. And so I'm starting basically with the top of the base and then cutting a border, getting a piece of paper to cut a border. So then what I would do, this was off of the same roll, then I rounded the corners on this. And the nice thing is it's a little more sturdy than just the washi tape. And then I found this piece that I thought, well, that would be a really pretty border around that. So then all I need to do is just cut it down to so that it's just a little bit bigger than what this piece is. And so then you can make it any size you want. And then I would round the corners. And I'm not going to do that right now. So I went through some of my other washi tape, and I guess I'll start with this up here. Excuse me. So these were some pieces off one of those rolls of washi tape, and I just put them on. I put some of them on file folder, manila file folder, because I thought that gave it a nice look in the background. And this one that one kind of ripped on me. But I had this one that was like little tickets. So I cut one of them out. And I thought, well, that would be a cute little ticket to stick on a cluster or something. And then I had a strip that they were long and thin. And so here's one that I've cut out. I thought there again, that would look really pretty if you were making a cluster or something, or it would even help decorate one of these other larger ones if you wanted to. You might want a different background so that it would show up a little bit better. And this is one that was off of the same paper as these right here. It was the end, it was where I started the roll, so it didn't have the whole thing there. So I just had a little bit. So I went ahead and just cut it out the size it was, rounded the corners. And so these were some off of another roll that I had that I cut it out the size that it was. They weren't all the same size. And then I just found a piece out of my scraps to back the background. You could add to it if you wanted to. You could add numbers to it or something else. Or you could add a butterfly on here. I could see a small butterfly looking really nice on those. So you could continue to decorate them if you want to. Or I think they look really nice the way they are too. You could use them just the way they are, because the washi tape is given a lot of interest in the background, I think. So I had that strip off of one of the washi tape. This was a strip off of washi tape. This was another one that looked like postage stamps. And so I thought, well, that would be perfect for cutting out and using as embellishments on something. You wouldn't even necessarily need to back it on a piece, or you can back it on a piece if you want to. So I put that there again, scrap of file folder that I had left over. And so I'm using up a bunch of different scraps for that as well. So there's a lot of ways to play with this and a lot of different things that you can do. So I think I'm going to call this quits on the video today. But my next video, I am going to show how I explored using some stamps and dies that I had that were made for making tickets. And so they work well for putting on labels and everything too. So anyway, I hope I've been able to inspire you to check out In Your Stash and see what you can do. I'm always excited to find different ways to use washi tape because I have quite a bit of it. And instead of hoarding it, I'm working at trying to use it. So I hope I've inspired you to try to make some labels out of things in your stash. Thank you for watching.